Hey, it's Michael Saul, also known as Tiny. This is the market video for the week of October 27th, 2014. So it's a little bit of a sloppy chart because besides the key moving averages that I use, which are the 10-day simple, the 50-day simple, the 200-day simple, and the 20-day exponential, I also have 22.2, which is 20 period moving average and then two standard deviations each way, Bollinger Bands, and I also have a Fibonacci grid. So it's a little messy. So let's take a look at the market here. And I know I've been doing some short videos lately, so I'm going to try to go a little more in depth here with going over the indexes and some sectors and stuff like that. All right. So last week, the market continued what started the previous week, which was a reversal and bounce. We wound up getting through the first three levels of the Fibonacci retracement from the high down to the low, and you could see that we pushed out the upper Bollinger and came down, and then we pushed down out the lower Bollinger a few times before finally getting the one that came back in inside. Actually, this day that it did push in, it also came back inside there too. So what we're looking at here is now we have to watch the 50-day moving average to see if that is going to stall out at resistance. And we also have the 78.6% retracement of this swing down. If we get through this level here, okay, so call it, what do you want? Let's call it 198 to just round it up. That's suggesting that we're going to new highs again. And this has been a pretty violent move down and up. I thought we would get a retest down, maybe not a full retest, just a high or low, or at least a pause. And I mean, I guess you could call this candle a pause here, but I don't know. It wasn't what I was thinking. I was thinking we got some sort of consolidation or something like that to set up. And we could still do that. We can consolidate under the 50. We can consolidate under the 78.6. But if we get above here, it is suggestive we are going to new highs. Here's the NASDAQ right at, let me just make sure that I am correct with this. I'd probably be better to do it over here. Again, we go down to here. No, it's close. I mean, the NASDAQ, we're already above it. So that's suggesting that we're going to take out that high there. The Dow, I'm not going to even put a fib on, but you got the 50-day moving average to get through. The mid caps, also the 50-day moving average to get through. It's that they are lagging. And of course, the Russell, which has been lagging for a while, but got back, let's see, did it get back positive? No, it didn't get positive yet, but it got back above this neckline or this support line. And you can see here we have the 50-day coming up, the upper Bollinger, and then we have the 200 above. So the Russell's lagging. All right, I mean, we're coming into that time of year where the Russell starts to outperform, which is into the end of the year. That's that whole January effect deal. So, yeah, I mean, definitely the Russell could start to show some strength. But right now, the S&P and the NASDAQ are the strongest indexes, and those are the ones that should be watched for long side opportunities if you're going to trade indexes. I mean, if you're going to trade individual stocks, then you at least start with the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, then you go down to the sectors, and then you go down to the individual stocks. So for this week, I am looking for, like I said, either a pullback here or a pause. At this point, I don't think we're going to get a full retest down. We could, but I mean, at this point, this V is pretty sharp. But what I like to see after a move like this, and this is a spike move, is some kind of consolidation or a ledge to form. The spike and ledge is a very, very powerful pattern. Right now, we don't have one. Right now, we just have an all-out V reversal blast off. But as you can see here, even on the way down, we stumbled here in this. I mean, this wasn't really a clean congestion, but you could see we had overlapping candles. So it might stall on the way up here too. All right, but as of right now, we look higher. We get above 197.65, or you want to round it up, call it 198. It's really not. It's really a little less than 198. Then we can watch this to look for new highs into the end of the year or beginning of next year. I mean, we have 2 months left, and this right here, I mean, shook out some weak hands, and let's see if the bulls step back in here and put the pedal to the metal into the end of the year. Semiconductors, they're lagging, but they got the 50-day moving average to watch for resistance. You got Clad Tankers, a little messy here with that spinning top on Friday. Intel, watch the 50-day moving average. This ADI is lagging, but you got the 50-day moving average ahead if this little consolidation breaks. How about NVIDIA? In NVIDIA, you got the 50-day moving average. You got Maxim had the rejection at the 50-day. I mean, this was weak when the semis were strong, right? So I'm going to take this off. I'll take the Bollingers off here. All right, let's look at the banks. Okay, you got to watch that 200-day moving average. Bank of America looking okay. They're looking fine. So is Citigroup. What about JP Morgan? Watch the 50-day moving average here. Bank of New York. Watch the 20 EMA as potential resistance. You got like a Zion, which rolled over, now back to the 20 EMA. We want to watch that. Broker-dealer, 50-day moving average resistance. Goldman, I mean, acted pretty well. Yeah, it got swept up in the market decline, but look, it's back above the moving averages. Nice day on Friday. Let's see if it could get back up to the highs. Here's Morgan, not doing as well, but you can see we have a trend line that it broke. I got a question via email, and feel free to send me questions, by the way, if you want me to look at any stocks or anything, currencies, commodities, whatever you want me to look at. I'm going to look at some currencies a little bit later. But they wanted me to look at Caterpillar and Deere. So Caterpillar on a nice move up from 90. Watch the 50 and 200-day confluence here. That has to be watched. And John Deere, nice little consolidation here. But you got the 200-day that it has to get through. And you can see what it did here when it hit the 200. Coming down, it paused first before it goes down. Now we got a little pause. See if it could pump up here and test that 200-day. Look at some glamour stocks. Apple, just complete monster. Amazon, complete horror. So yeah, just looking like crap. If it breaks below here, these what is this? March? I'm sorry, not March. May. What are these lows? Yeah, the May lows. Then looking for more downside here. You're probably looking maybe till to this level down here in the 245 area. All right, Googleicious. Okay, yeah, Google broke down, came back to the 20 EMA. So if that holds, Google could see lower prices. How about a Priceline.com? Watch the 50-day moving average. CMG, Chipotle. A little consolidation here, but looks like it may want to kiss the 200-day if it continues to the downside. Potash, yeah, little volatility here. Watch the 200-day. Las Vegas Sands, yeah, this is consolidating here, so we want to watch this little consolidation here. Either going to come up like this or back down to the lows, but it's definitely in play here. So, well, it's going to be in play, right? Because it's consolidating. So we want to see this way, which way it goes. You can see here's Wynn Resorts. Again, really tight and squeezing between the moving averages. So watch for a move one way or the other from here. Let's look at some currencies, and we'll go back to bonds and stuff like that. So the euro has been in a pretty nice downtrend. For those of you who used to attend the Sunday night strategy sessions, Paul was pretty bullish on the dollar. It just took a while to get going, but when the euro's down, the dollar is moving up. Now we do have a possible higher low here, but we want to be, before we jump to the long side on a long-term basis, we want to make sure this isn't an ABC up. So we have to be, watchful of that. Let's look at the Aussie dollar, Aussie versus the U.S. dollar. Nice consolidation. Looks like it can go lower after this move, but the consolidation is a equilibrium point, so we want to look one way or the other out of this pattern, but it should also be setting up for a nice move. The Aussie dollar The Canuck buck, I call it the Canuck buck. It's the dollar versus the Canadian dollar. That's in a nice little pattern here, so we want to watch that too. That's a U.S. CAD or the loonie, whatever you want to call it. And the Japanese yen held the 50-day. See if it could consolidate here and continue higher. Bonds had that big blow off top. Still think it needs to consolidate a little bit, so we want to watch bonds here. Notes, similar. Gold can't get out of its own way. Tried to get above the 50-day, made it for a session, but came back below it. Still, is the low possibly in? Silver looks terrible. Looks like it wants to trade lower. Crude oil looks like it wants to come out lower out of this consolidation right here. So, wait, let me do a couple more. Sorry, let's do some grains. So wheat and the grains, nice little consolidation here, but if it breaks this channel, look for a retest of the lows. Soybeans, same deal. Corn, the same deal. All right, so to wrap it up, nice reversal. Okay, they're not common, but they are more common on the downside than the upside. Some people say, well, we had a reversal at the top. No, we didn't. We had a testing pattern here, a 2B top, Trader Vic would call it. And right now, we're coming into key resistance zone, the 50-day, and it's 78.6. So see if it pulls back or consolidates here, whatever it does, and then look for it to continue higher. If it gets above this level, then we're looking for new highs, new all-time highs. The NASDAQ is already above its 78.6, which says we're looking at new multi-year highs there. And on the monthly chart, it already got above the 78.6, which means we're looking for new all-time highs there. I don't know if it'll get there this year, but we're looking to get to new all-time highs on the NASDAQ too, which a lot of people wrote off. That said we'll never see it again in our lifetime. So anyway, that's it. Have a great trading week. You can always contact me at tiny@stockmarkettrendsex.com. I will talk to you in the daily email or in next week's video. Have a great week.